This past weekend, the entire world's focus was squarely centered on Kagaribi 10, the Japanese major that we covered on Tuesday. It had the attention of the world, and with good reason. It was perhaps the most important post-lockdown tournament in the world, and all eyes were on Kagaribi. But what you may not know is that another major happened this past weekend, and while the world watched Kagaribi, this European major went down in France, drawing top European players, but with most of the eyes of the world shifted away from them. Today, we'll be covering Wanted 2023, a 672 entrant tournament that happened in France this past weekend. We'll be covering the top 8, going over not only their brackets, but who these players are in the first place. In this video, we'll spend a lot more time than usual covering who these players are, to hopefully introduce you all to some of Europe's best. European Smash is an area often overlooked by North American viewers, but by the end of this video, you'll know just a little bit more about it. We're going to be starting with our 7th place finishers like always, this time being Longo and Jaka. Both of these players weren't from France, instead being from invading countries. Let's go over Jaka first, since I'm sure lots of you are wondering about the Isabelle that just popped up on screen. Jaka is an Isabelle player from Switzerland and has a good shot at being the best Isabelle in the world, their main competition likely being B Rice at the time of the script being written. While Wanted 2023 had a diverse showing of different countries in its top 8, Jaka was the only representative of Switzerland, not only just within the top 8, but top 16 as well. Jaka's sole representative status, as well as their unique character, are two factors to set them apart from the crowd. Jaka has had impressive placements over the past few years, including 7th at VCA Vienna Challengers Arena 2021, a 4th at Smash Contest Dokomi 2021, and a myriad of impressive placements in online tournaments. Jaka started off this weekend at Wanted 2023 by getting out of pools, only dropping 2 games in the process. It's worth noting that usually these would have been decisive games, but Wanted 2023 was entirely best of 5, so even these sets where Jaka dropped a game weren't decisive, with Jaka winning 3-1 against both players who took a set off of him, Devil J Hotaro and Enki, to make it to top 32. Now that Jaka was in top 32, he suffered his first loss at the hands of Azrael, who defeated Jaka in a close Game 5 set. Jaka then went down to losers, winning their first set against Phoenix in a 3-0 victory, before going on to win 2 more sets in order to make it into top 8. Jaka first beat Astrat in a close Game 5 set, before going up against Rockyor for the losers top 8 qualifier.
The up smash coming out, 85%, looking for something. Jaka realizes the position that he's in, and you can only imagine the amount of pressure that's currently being put on him at the moment is immense. The forward smash, however, will take it.
Jaka defeated Rockyor 3-1 and moved on to losers top 8. It was here, however, that Jaka had an unfortunately early meeting with Crepe Salee, the second most famous French Wario main. And with a tier list difference of that much, the set was bound for disaster.
There's a way, kind of peace out, face reality, never be charity. The enemy, your buddy, covers all society. Damn right, mommy's not here, gonna fight all night. Right here, shadow 10 o'clock direction. Seize the moment, destroy the nation. You run slow motion, give me motivation. Breathe out now, and then on your rival. Round up around, spit out, all over. Rhyme like a rolling stone, come in the crowd. Watch out the moon, they this so loud. Just watch this sound and bombs whole round. Surround up, don't ease your pace, cause enemy's brutal. Moment of truth, there ain't no truth. You're the only one world, one love. But the battle goes on, shadows all mass destruction.
Oh yeah, baby, baby, oh yeah, baby, baby.
Jaka was defeated by Crepe Salee in a 3-1 loss, but considering how far Crepe Salee went in this tourney, this was definitely no loss to be ashamed of. Our other 7th place finisher was Longo. Longo is very similar to Jaka in the sense that both of them represented their respective countries in the top 16 this past weekend, with Longo being the only player from Germany to make the top 16. Longo mains Raw, but has some other characters deep in their pockets to use, like Bayonetta or Cloud. Longo's previous placements at massive tournaments include a 17th place finish at Colossal 2023 and 13th at Ultimate Fighting Arena 2022. Longo started off the weekend at Wanted 2023 with a very standard winners run bracket. Longo swept through both pools and top 32 in order to make it into top 8 winners qualifier. Here, Longo found themselves in a set versus Trim, one of the other top 8 finishers of this tournament, who plays Mega Man. This set, winners quarters, would end in Trim defeating Longo in a 3-1 victory, knocking Longo down to losers. Now, in order to make top 8, Longo had to defeat Homika. Homika is one of the only top-level Rosalina players other than DeBuzz, and is one half of the team that won doubles at this very tournament. This was certainly going to be a hard set. In the end, Longo defeated Homika 3-1, moving on to top 8 losers side. However, at that point, Longo went up against Azrael, a Cloudman from the Netherlands. Longo fought hard to win this set, but in the end...
That is so good against Wob, but it's just kind of outside it, but then once you're in, you're in again, and then the back air comes out. There was no faulting Azrael's game plan there.
Azrael defeated Longo 3-0, eliminating Longo at 7th, technically an underperformance of Longo's 5th seed, but still a good placement nonetheless. Now we move on to our 5th place finishers, Trim and Zemmel. We've already mentioned Trim in our previous segment, so let's start with them first. Trim is the first player we've discussed who is actually from France, and they're actually only one of 2 players in the top 8 of this French tournament who are from France. Trim, like we discussed earlier, plays Mega Man, and is one of the only Mega Man reps in Europe. Trim's past placements include 5th at VCA Vienna Challengers Arena 2022, and 13th at Albion 4. Trim started off the weekend well, making it to top 8 winners side without being taken to a decisive game once, taking wins off Longo and very notable Shulk main Ramses. But it was here that Trim's streak would be broken, as Trim went up against Sisqui, the best player in Spain, in winter semifinals. This set wasn't close, with Sisqui pulling out a dominant performance.
Again, the up B out of shield, just any opportunity, because this is not a thing we've talked about as well.
It's GG's, it's GG's. Yeah, it was stuck.
You know, no more needs to be said.
Yeah, of course. It's just such a tough spot there.
Trim was defeated in a 3-0 by Sisqui, getting sent down to losers against Crepe, Salee, Trim's fellow countryman, in losers quarters. This set was much closer, going to a decisive Game 5, and with Trim having a good record against Crepe Salee in recent tourneys. But Crepe Salee was sure to make this tournament different.
How long has it been? Hope I'm not dreaming. Looking good too, aren't you? It's time to unwind. We got to catch a smile and shoot it in a while.
Trim lost his set against Crepe Salee in Game 5, being eliminated at 5th. But Trim, as the 13th seed, outplaced his seed with an SBR of +3, a very good performance from this French Mega Man. Now for our other 5th place finisher, Zemmel. Zemmel is a player from the Netherlands, much like Azrael, who we discussed earlier. But here's the thing. Bowser is their most played character and their profile picture, but the top 16 list put out by the tournament afterward had Cloud as Zemmel's first, and thus most played character. And Zemmel only has 2 VODs from this tourney in which he used Donkey Kong and Cloud. So, since Zemmel's Twitter describes them as a Cloud player, I'll just assume that's their main. But also, this top 8 already has a Cloud in it with Azrael, so Bowser it is. Anyways, Zemmel is a Dutch player whose past wins include 5th at Arcadia Smash 4 and 13th at DreamHack Rotterdam. Zemmel started off this weekend well, having a few decisive sets along the way to make it to top 8 winners qualifier. It was here that Zemmel went up against Crepe Salee, the person who's been tearing up the losers bracket so far. You'd expect that Crepe Salee may have won this set, but Zemmel pulled off what is undoubtedly the biggest upset of the tournament, defeating Crepe Salee in a 3-1 victory in a set that was criminally not put on VGBC. Having made top 8 winners side, Zemmel went up against Super Semi in winners semifinals. The two of them went at it for the chance to fight in winners finals, but in the end,
the other side of the stage makes it back, but he's taken so much damage. I don't think he's got a jump. He doesn't anymore. Amazing recovery. And that's going to be it.
Zemmel would lose the set, Super Semi winning 3-1, and sending Zemmel down to losers quarters, where Azrael was waiting for them. Instead of opting for the Cloud Ditto, Zemmel went Donkey Kong. But even the expanded Dong wasn't enough to save him.
In this clash between 2 mortal enemies. Oh my goodness!
Man, what are you doing?
And he went for it again!
He wasn't anywhere near you, and you're dead! Oh my days, Zemmel.
Zemmel lost 3-1, just like his prior loss, and was eliminated at 5th. But as the 14th seed, this was an excellent performance, and Zemmel got the most impressive win of the tournament with his win over Crepe Salee. Now for our 4th place finisher, Azrael. Azrael is a Dutch Cloud player, much like Zemmel, who, fun fact, actually plays Azrael regularly at weeklies. In fact, even more fun fact, Zemmel, Azrael, and our 3rd place finisher that we'll cover soon are all 3 from the Netherlands, with the Netherlands having the most reps in top 8 with 3, France with 2, and Spain, Germany, and Switzerland tied at 1. Azrael's notable placements include a 3rd place finish at Heroes of Dutch Comic Con 2019 and a 7th place finish at DreamHack Rotterdam. Azrael started off the weekend well, making it out of pools, albeit with a close call in a Game 5 set with Kichiro to make it out of pools winner's side. Azrael then got into another Game 5 set, beating Jaka, which we talked about earlier. Now Azrael made it to winner's quarters, where he had to go up against Sisqui. In this match, a rare set where Sisqui opted for normal Samus instead of Dark Samus, we saw the closest instance that anyone has gotten to beating Sisqui so far in this tournament. Unfortunately, Azrael would lose Game 5 to Sisqui, being knocked down into losers. After quickly beating Himatsu 3-1 to make it into top 8, Azrael defeated many of the names we've talked about so far. Azrael defeated Longo 3-1 and then Zemmel 3-1 in order to make it to losers semis. Here, Azrael went up against Crepe, the other slayer of the losers bracket this tournament. But this set was a sweep in itself.
Will you clutch up here? Will you be able to take us to a game 4? Or is it just going to end here?
It's all over.
Azrael was defeated 3-0 by Crepe, being eliminated at 4th place. As the 9th seed, Azrael had a good performance this weekend and was one game away from getting the most impressive upset, a possible win over Sisqui. Now we move on to our 3rd place finisher, Supasemi. Supasemi is someone you might not have heard of before, but someone who's been climbing their way up the ranks of European Smash in the background, even getting a spot as a fresh-cut freshman finalist with the help of Mr. R, who vouched for him. Supasemi's recent notable placements include 9th at Ultimate Wanted 4 and 9th at Albion 4. Supasemi started off the weekend well, mostly sweeping through his pool except for one set against Sokuda, which went all the way to Game 5. Supasemi made it into top 32, winning his first set 3-1 against Artsniff, who just has, like, the best profile picture. He also defeated Rarcure, who we discussed in Jaka's segment at the start of the video, in order to make top 8 winners side. In top 8 winners semis, Supasemi defeated Zemmel 3-1 like we discussed, before moving on to winners finals against Sisqui. Supasemi ended up losing to Sisqui in a 3-1 set, where they were knocked down to losers finals.
Oh, that's so scary as well, like just charging up with...
God, he's not...
No, it's not enough!
He didn't have enough!
In losers finals, Supasemi had to fight Crepe, who had been dominating the losers bracket thus far. The set was close, going to a decisive Game 5, but Crepe was not intending to stop his losers run anytime soon.
Never mind, he's gonna force him to get rid of it, and oh dear, this is a dangerous spot. Is that a point where it's going so fast I can't even properly talk about it?
Yeah, these two are throwing absolutely everything at each other.
No!
Oh, Supasemi! Oh, that is a heartbreaker.
Oh no, that's the last way you wanted it to go.
Oh no!
Supasemi lost Game 5 against Crepe and was eliminated at 3rd place. As the 2nd seed, this was technically an underperformance, but when you're comparing 2nd and 3rd, the seed starts to matter less and less the higher in placements you go. Which brings us to our final 2 for this tournament, Sisqui and Crepe. If you've been paying attention, you'd have noticed that Sisqui has been absolutely sweeping the winners bracket, while Crepe has been absolutely sweeping the losers bracket. Sisqui is a globally recognized Smash player and needs no introduction, and while Crepe is a lesser known player, he is still recognized by those who keep up with the Smash scene, thanks to a video from the old PG Stats channel which talked about him. Sisqui started off this weekend with a sweep and kept up that momentum for the majority of the tournament. However, Sisqui had a few more close calls than you might think. He got taken to a Game 5 against Oxiga to make it out of pools, although Sisqui was able to clutch it out in the end. Sisqui then defeated All, a set that was notably put onto VGBC.
And we know when Sisqi's in the zone, Sisqui is definitely in the zone here. Gonna try to look for something big, sitting at 108%. This little yellow rat's gonna be in trouble there as the conversion comes out. Sisqui taking the set 3-1.
Afterwards, Sisqui had his only other decisive game of the tournament until Grands, getting taken to a Game 5 against Azrael, which we talked about earlier, to make top 8. Now in top 8 winners side, Sisqui made quick work of his competition, defeating Trim 3-0 and Supasemi 3-1, which we just talked about, to make it to Grands winners side. Crepe, on the other hand, had a long, hard battle to make it into top 8. He won 10 sets in this tournament, the most of anyone in the top 8, and was the 6th seed of the tourney, making upsets to make it where he ended up. Crepe actually made it through pools easier than Sisqui did, only dropping one game on his way to top 32. Once there, he picked up a good win over Hamika, before suffering an upset loss at the hands of Zemmel, which we talked about in their segment. Now in losers, Crepe had their first Game 5 set in the top 8 losers qualifier against Ramses, who we've mentioned earlier. Crepe worked hard, eventually taking the win 3-2 over Ramses.
Smells blood. They have not let up for this entire final sequence. Oh, TNT set up on the ledge. Oh my god! That'll do it.
Now in top 8, Crepe had to slaughter the losers bracket, complete with 2 Game 5s on his way to Grands. He defeated Jaka, Trim, Azrael, and Supasemi in losers finals in order to face Sisqui in Grands. Which now brings us to Grand Finals. It seems as though every video we do, we have one player who swept through his bracket and one player who had to slaughter it. And this tournament was no different. But now it was time for them to battle, to decide who would take home the victory.
I will.
There's no man's man, no man ever survived. Invisible hands are behind you just now. If you ever win that race against rage, then you became cause it's no man's land. Masters in heavy rain, ultimately fame. Make shots slave, what they've done is in vain. Down in 1847, 24/7, but you got 11 persecuted by heaven. Come through the direction, no indication. You got to let it move first, let it out, let it down, let it inside, let loose, let it jam to press. Let's get it up. Then what you gonna do is drop the hammer down, drop rhyme, drop hammer, take it like a labor. You got blood all over, ash all over, spit it out, some game's over.
Sisqui defeated Crepe Salee 3-1, taking the win in both the set and the tournament, becoming the winner of Wanted 2023. In a weekend that was dominated by the news and spectacle that was Kagaribi 10, Wanted 2023 went down in Europe. Players from all across Europe came with the hopes of taking the crown for themselves, representing all sorts of countries from across the globe. But in the end, it was Spain who took home the international victory, and their greatest player Sisqui who allowed that to happen. That's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. I tried to place much more emphasis and time on who these players were, except for the top two, because I hope you can all become more familiar with European Smash, a Smash scene that is often overlooked by the majority of the community. Next week on Tuesday, I'll be covering the Midwest Regional Honeypot 5, the Honey Heist. Until then, I've been Mr. Mice, and thank you all so much for watching.